That morning when I accidentally opened her laptop looking for old photos for our daughter's album, I didn't even suspect that in a minute my life would split in half. My name is Marcus, and until that day I considered myself a happy man. 5 years ago, I married Megan, a talented illustrator with fire in her eyes and a smile that could melt an icy heart. We lived in a small apartment in San Francisco, raising our 4-year-old daughter Emily, and although my salary as an HR manager didn't allow us to live luxuriously, we were together. Or so I thought. We also had Rex, a huge Caucasian shepherd that Megan brought even before our wedding. That dog adored her as much as I did. Perhaps even more because he, unlike me, could sense when something was wrong. It all started 3 months ago when Megan received an offer to work on a large project. Illustrations for a book about Mediterranean art. She was thrilled. The project meant a 2-week trip to Malta to gather material. I supported her, although my heart ached from the separation. Emily cried when Mom left and Rex whimpered by the door for 3 days straight. Megan returned changed. Not outwardly, she didn't start dressing better or behaving differently. But something elusive disappeared from her gaze when she looked at me. As if some part of her soul remained there, on those sunny Maltese streets. I tried not to think about it. I immersed myself in work, in caring for Emily, in daily routine. But Rex constantly looked at me with his intelligent eyes, as if he wanted to say something. And then that morning. The laptop. An open email tab. A letter from Jonathan Wakefield. Jonathan. I had heard this name before. Megan mentioned him in passing, her ex-boyfriend, whom she dated before me. He became a curator of some prestigious art collection, and it was he who organized that project in Malta. My beloved Megan, I can't wait until we're together again. Those 2 weeks in Malta were the happiest of my life. I know you promised to leave him after New Year's, but every day without you is hell. Yours forever, Jonathan. My hands trembled. I reread the letter 3, 4, 5 times. Maybe I don't understand something? Maybe this is some kind of joke? But other letters dispelled all doubts. Dozens of letters. Photos. They're together on the Valletta waterfront. He kisses her temple. She laughs, pressed against his shoulder. Emily called me from the kitchen. She wanted to show me her drawing. I closed the laptop and went to her, trying to smile, although everything was burning inside. The next few days I lived in some kind of fog. Megan behaved as usual, cooked dinner, played with Emily, worked on new illustrations. And I looked at her and thought, who is this woman? Do I even know her? Rex started growling at Megan, which was very strange. She looked at the dog in surprise and I understood, animal sense lies better than people. I could have just talked to her. Could have made a scene. But something stopped me. I wanted to know the whole truth. The complete truth. So I did what I never thought I would do. I started monitoring her email. I installed a program that forwarded copies of all her letters to me. And what I learned exceeded my worst suspicions. It turned out that Jonathan and Megan dated 5 years ago, but broke up because of his unwillingness to get married. He came from a wealthy family, considered himself a free spirit. Then Megan met me, a simple HR manager with a modest salary but sincere feelings. We got married, Emily was born. And Jonathan suddenly realized what he had lost. And when the opportunity arose to organize that project in Malta, he didn't hesitate. He knew that Megan could never forget him. From the letters it became clear. Megan really loved me. But Jonathan was her first love, her unrealized dream. And when he appeared in her life again, promising what she once wanted so much, marriage, stability, but now also with his wealth and status, she couldn't resist. What killed me most was that she didn't love Jonathan the way she loved me. This was obvious from her letters. She wrote about duty, about him needing a partner of his level, about me deserving something better. But she still planned to leave. The realization of this was worse than the betrayal itself. She was destroying our family not because of passion, not because of great love, but because of some phantom ideas about the right life. I started planning. She wants to leave, let her. But I won't let her take Emily. And I won't give her anything from what we built together. The first thing I did was start transferring all our savings into cryptocurrency. Not large amounts because we didn't have much, but what we managed to save over 5 years of life together. I created a cold wallet, the keys to which only I knew. On paper, it all looked like I lost money on a bad investment. Second, I started collecting evidence. Screenshots of letters, photos, everything that could help in court for custody of Emily. Third, and this was the hardest, I continued to live as if nothing had happened. I smiled at Megan, kissed her goodbye, told her about my day. And at night I lay next to her and felt a piece of my heart dying. Everything changed one evening in December. A knock on the door. I opened it, and saw Jonathan Wakefield himself in person. "Hi, Marcus," he said with a casual smile. "I'm Jonathan, Megan's old friend. I was in the neighborhood and decided to drop by." Megan turned pale when she saw him. Emily was playing in her room, suspecting nothing. Rex stirred and growled angrily. I barely managed to grab him. "Of course, come in," I said, feeling adrenaline pounding in my temples. Jonathan was exactly as I imagined him, tall, with the balanced manners of a person accustomed to comfort. He talked about art, about new exhibitions, about how wonderfully Megan worked on the project. Megan sat as if on pins and needles. I saw her trying to understand. Why did he come? Is this part of the plan, or is he just reckless? And then Emily ran out of the room and asked, "Mom, who is this uncle?" "This is Mom's colleague," Megan mumbled. "Actually, I'm somewhat more," Jonathan suddenly said, looking me in the eyes with challenge. "Megan and I." "Jonathan, shut up." Megan sharply interrupted him. But he couldn't stop. Perhaps the wine he drank before the visit loosened his tongue. Perhaps he just wanted to end this comedy. "Marcus, I think you have the right to know. Megan and I are together. We plan to get married as soon as she files for divorce from you." Silence. Emily looked at us with big eyes, not understanding what was happening. Megan was crying. And I felt a strange relief. This was the moment when I realized, there's no turning back. "Emily, go to your room," I said quietly. When our daughter left, I turned to Jonathan. "Thank you for your honesty. Megan, you can go pack your things. Take what you want except Emily. She stays with me." "You can't decide like that." Megan screamed. "I can. And I'll do everything to prove in court that you're an unfit mother. I have all your letters, all the photos. I've known about your affair for 3 months. And all this time I've been collecting evidence." Jonathan suddenly turned pale. He clearly didn't expect such a turn. "You spied on me?" Megan whispered. "I was protecting my family. Or what was left of it." The next few weeks were hell. Megan hired a lawyer, I hired mine. The battle for custody of Emily began. But the evidence I collected did its job. Her lawyer tried to prove that monitoring her email was illegal, but the judges weren't interested. Cheating is cheating. Jonathan initially tried to support Megan, but when he realized what swamp he got into, he started backing away. It turned out that his family was categorically against marriage to a divorced woman with a child. And Jonathan, despite all his statements about love, wasn't ready to give up family money. But the most interesting part began when my lawyer, a smart woman named Sandra, proposed a brilliant move. "Marcus," she said, "we have all the evidence of infidelity. But what if we use this not only for custody but for something bigger?" "What do you mean?" "Jonathan is a public figure. Curator of a prestigious collection. What will happen if information about his affair with a married woman, about how he used his official position to organize dates, becomes public knowledge?" I thought about it. It was cruel. It would destroy not only Jonathan but also Megan. Her reputation as an illustrator would suffer too. But then I remembered how Emily cried when she realized Mom was leaving. How Rex whimpered, looking for Megan all over the apartment. How I myself lay awake at night, not understanding where I made a mistake. "Do it," I said. Sandra contacted several journalists. The story was juicy: a famous curator, a wealthy family, an affair with a protege, a destroyed family. The media tore this story to pieces. A week later, Jonathan was fired. His family publicly disowned him. And Megan lost most of her orders. Clients didn't want to work with an illustrator involved in such a scandal. But the cruelest thing was that Jonathan didn't leave Megan. Despite everything, the lost job, family, money, he stayed with her. Perhaps it was pride. Perhaps real feeling born from despair. Or maybe he just didn't know where to go. They settled in a cheap apartment on the outskirts of the city. Megan tried to find work, but her reputation was destroyed. Jonathan got a job as a manager in a small gallery, work that would have seemed humiliating to him before. And I got full custody of Emily. The apartment, furniture, everything remained with me. After all, it was I who bought them, I paid for them. The cryptocurrency I hid gradually helped us live better. Emily had a hard time with her parents' divorce, but a child psychologist helped her get through it. Rex no longer whimpered, he seemed to understand that we were now a team. Megan rarely saw her daughter. Once every 2 weeks, under my supervision. Each time she looked thinner, more tired. Emily treated her coldly. Children sense betrayal better than adults. Once, 6 months after the divorce, Megan asked to talk. We met in a cafe. "Marcus," she said, "I understand that you hate me. And you have the right. But Emily..." Emily is fine. She's happy. Without a mother? Without a mother who abandoned her for phantom happiness. Megan cried. I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. I don't know what I thought. I thought it couldn't get worse, but you thought Jonathan would give you a better life. But instead you lost everything. I lost you. And I lost my little girl. You lost them back then in Malta. You just didn't want to admit it. She wiped her tears. Jonathan, he's different than I thought. He only holds on to me because there's nowhere else to go. His family disowned him. His career is destroyed. I'm all he has left. And you're staying with him? I have to. This is my punishment. I destroyed his life just as I destroyed my own. I looked at her, this woman I once loved more than life. And I felt nothing. No anger, no pain, not even satisfaction from revenge. Just emptiness. Live as you want, I said. But Emily will stay with me. Forever. I got up and left without looking back. 2 years passed. Emily is already 6, she goes to school, loves to draw, perhaps her mother's talent was inherited. Rex has aged but is still loyal and protective. Megan and Jonathan are still together. They live modestly, work at unprestigious jobs, try to maintain the appearance of a normal life. But everyone who knows them understands, they're not a couple created from love. They're a couple created from ruins. And I learned the most important truth. Revenge is not an explosion of anger. Real revenge is letting people get exactly what they wanted and making them live with the consequences. Megan wanted Jonathan, she got him. Without money, without status, without prestige. Just him in a cheap apartment with destroyed dreams. And Jonathan wanted Megan, and now lives with a woman who stayed with him only out of guilt. This isn't happiness. This is a prison they built for themselves. And I keep the keys to it in my pocket. But the story didn't end there. What happened next is worth hearing. About a year after our meeting in the cafe, I started noticing something strange. Emily would come home from her visits with Megan and tell me peculiar things. How Uncle Jonathan wasn't home during their meetings. How Megan looked sad all the time. How she kept asking Emily if she was happy with Daddy. Before I continue, please pause the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new interesting stories. Thank you. At first, I didn't pay much attention. But then Sandra called me. She had news. Marcus, you need to hear this. One of my contacts at the court told me that Megan filed papers to regain custody of Emily. What? On what grounds? She claims that the situation has changed. That she's now in a stable relationship, has steady employment, and that Emily needs her mother. I felt rage rising inside me. After everything she did, she dared to try to take my daughter away again? What are our chances? I asked. Good. The original custody ruling was based on solid evidence. But we need to be prepared. She might have something new. I started investigating. Through mutual acquaintances, through social media, through everything I could find. And what I discovered was interesting. Apparently, Megan and Jonathan's relationship had deteriorated significantly. They lived together but more like roommates than partners. Jonathan had become bitter and resentful, blaming Megan for the loss of his career and family connections. And Megan, in turn, realized she had made the biggest mistake of her life. But here's what was truly fascinating, Megan had started therapy. Not just any therapy, but intensive counseling with a renowned family therapist in San Francisco. She was trying to rebuild herself, to understand what drove her to make those choices. Through my sources, I learned that in these sessions she talked about me. About how she never stopped loving me. About how Jonathan represented something else entirely, not love, but an idea of success, of being valued by someone from a higher social circle. About how she realized too late that true value isn't measured by wealth or status. My reaction shocked even her friends. One evening my doorbell rang. It was Sarah, Megan's college friend and one of the few people who tried to remain neutral during our divorce. Marcus, can we talk? She asked. I invited her in. Emily was at a friend's house for a sleepover, so we could speak freely. I know you probably don't want to hear anything about Megan, Sarah began, but I think you should know what's really happening. I know she's trying to get custody again. It's not about custody. Well, not really. Marcus, she's falling apart. Jonathan. He's not physically abusive, but he's cruel in other ways. He reminds her constantly that she destroyed his life. That his family won't speak to him because of her. That he could have had anyone but he chose her and look where it got him. And why doesn't she leave? Because she thinks she deserves it. It's her punishment, remember? But it's more than that. She's financially dependent on him now. Her illustration career never recovered. The few jobs she gets barely cover her personal expenses. Jonathan controls everything, the rent, the utilities, the food. She's trapped. I listened and something stirred inside me. Not pity, I wasn't ready for that. But curiosity. What was Megan's endgame? Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because the custody filing? It wasn't her idea. It was Jonathan's. That caught me off guard. What? He convinced her to do it. Told her that if she got Emily back even part-time she'd have leverage. They could demand child support from you, which would give them more financial stability. He made it sound like it was about Megan reconnecting with her daughter, but really it's about money. And there it was, even worse. I thanked Sarah and asked her to keep me informed. After she left, I sat in the dark apartment, Rex's head on my lap, thinking. Jonathan had found a new way to attack me. Not directly but through Megan. Using her guilt, her longing for Emily, to create a financial lifeline for himself. This was the calmest day before the storm. I called Sandra the next morning. I need you to do something for me, I said. I need a complete financial investigation of Jonathan Wakefield. Every account, every asset, every debt. Everything. Marcus, we all ready? No, Sandra. Deeper this time. I want to know where every penny goes. And I want to know about Megan's finances too. Separate from his. It took 3 weeks, but Sandra's team was thorough. What they found was enlightening. Jonathan wasn't just broke, he was in debt. Serious debt. Credit cards maxed out, personal loans he couldn't repay, and worst of all, he owed money to some very unpleasant people. Apparently, his gambling habit, which had been manageable when he had family money to fall back on, had spiraled out of control. Megan's finances were exactly what Sarah had described, minimal income, all controlled by Jonathan. But here's what was interesting. Megan had one asset that was entirely hers. Her grandmother had left her a small piece of property upstate, just a cabin and a few acres, nothing fancy. But it was worth something. And it was in her name only. I realized what Jonathan was doing. The custody play wasn't just about child support. If Megan got even partial custody, she'd need to provide proper accommodations for Emily. That would mean selling the cabin, the only asset she had, to fund a better living situation. And since she and Jonathan were living together, that money would inevitably flow through their joint household. It was clever in a sick way. Use Megan's love for her daughter to liquidate her last independent asset. I needed to act. But carefully. I contacted Megan directly, something I hadn't done in over a year. I asked her to meet me without Jonathan, without lawyers. Just the two of us. She looked shocked when she saw me at the cafe. And yes, she looked terrible, thinner, with dark circles under her eyes, wearing clothes that had seen better days. Marcus, she whispered. Why did you want to meet? I know about the custody filing, I said directly. And I know it wasn't your idea. She looked down. I want to see Emily more. I miss her so much. Every day without her is. Megan, stop. I know about Jonathan's debts. I know about his gambling. I know he's pressuring you to sell your grandmother's cabin. And I know this custody thing is his plan, not yours. Tears started flowing. I don't know what to do. I made such a mess of everything. I destroyed our family, destroyed his life, and now I'm trapped. I deserve this. I deserve all of it. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. That's not for me to judge anymore. But Emily doesn't deserve to be a pawn in Jonathan's schemes. What are you saying? I'm saying I'll make you a deal. Drop the custody filing. Not because I'm being generous, but because it's the right thing for Emily. She's finally stable, finally happy. This battle will hurt her, and you know it. But if I drop it, Jonathan will. Leave him. She looked up at me stunned. I can't. I have nowhere to go, no money, no. I'll help you. The words came out before I could stop them. And yet, somehow they felt right. Why would you help me? After everything I did? Not for you. For Emily. She needs a mother who's whole, not broken. Right now, you're destroying yourself to punish yourself. And while part of me thinks you deserve every bit of that punishment, my daughter doesn't deserve to watch her mother disintegrate. I pushed an envelope across the table. There's information in here about a women's shelter in Oakland. They specialize in financial abuse cases. Yes, that's what this is. Jonathan is financially abusing you. They can help you get on your feet, find real work, rebuild your life. Independently. Marcus, And there's one more thing. Drop the custody case, get yourself stable, and after a year, if you're truly healthy and independent, we can discuss a revised visitation schedule. Not custody. Emily stays with me. But maybe more time with you. Maybe. She opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was also a check. Not a huge amount, but enough to cover first month's expenses at a modest apartment once she got out of the shelter. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. "Because Emily asked me last week why mommy always looks sad. And I realized that my revenge, as satisfying as it was, is hurting my daughter. She doesn't understand why her mother is suffering. She just knows that her mother is in pain. And that pain is affecting her." After this moment, her life was no longer the same. Megan went to the shelter that night. She left while Jonathan was out, probably at a casino, and took only her personal belongings. The next day she officially withdrew the custody filing. Jonathan lost his mind when he found out. He showed up at my apartment, pounding on the door, screaming about how I had stolen his girlfriend, destroyed his life, and now was sabotaging his last chance at recovery. I called the police. They removed him. I filed for a restraining order. Granted. Over the next few months, I watched from a distance as Megan rebuilt her life. The shelter connected her with a job placement program. She started working as a graphic designer for a small marketing firm, not glamorous but steady income. She moved into a modest studio apartment. She continued therapy. And slowly, very slowly, Emily started having better visits with her mother. Megan was present now, truly present. Not sad, not distracted, but engaged. She'd take Emily to the park, help her with homework, listen to her stories about school. After 8 months, Megan asked for a meeting. Her therapist was with her this time. "Marcus," the therapist began, "Megan has been working very hard on understanding her choices and their consequences. She's not here to ask for forgiveness, she understands that may never come. But she wants to discuss Emily." We talked for 2 hours. At the end, we agreed to a new arrangement. Emily would spend every other weekend with Megan, plus 1 evening per week. It was more time than before, but still far less than joint custody. "Thank you," Megan said as we were leaving, "for giving me a chance to be a real mother to her again. Don't thank me. Thank Emily. She's the one who deserves to have her mother in her life. Just, don't screw this up." "I won't. I promise." And she kept that promise. For the next year, Megan was consistent, reliable, and present. Emily flourished. She had her father's stability and her mother's creativity. She was happy. As for Jonathan, last I heard he'd moved to Nevada, still chasing his next big win at the casinos, still bitter about how his life turned out. His family never reconciled with him. His career never recovered. He was, in every meaningful way, alone. One evening, about 2 years after that conversation in the cafe, Megan came to pick up Emily for her weekend visit. As Emily ran to get her overnight bag, Megan lingered at the door. "Can I tell you something?" she asked. "What?" "I finally understand what I lost. Not the marriage, not the house, not even the life we had. I lost you. The person who loved me unconditionally, who supported my dreams, who would have done anything for me. And I threw that away for an idea. For a fantasy of who I thought I should be with. Megan, I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not even asking you to stop hating me. I just wanted you to know that I understand now. And I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry." Emily came running back with her bag. "Ready, Mom?" "Ready, sweetie." Megan smiled at our daughter, then looked back at me. "Thank you, Marcus. For being the bigger person. For giving me a chance to be in her life." After they left, I sat in my apartment, Rex at my feet, and realized something. I didn't hate Megan anymore. I didn't love her either. That was long dead. But the burning rage, the need for revenge, the satisfaction from watching her suffer, all of that had faded. The end of the story surprised even me. She had destroyed what we had, yes. She had made terrible choices that hurt everyone involved. But she was also trying to do better, to be better. And for Emily's sake, that was enough. Revenge, I learned, isn't always about destruction. Sometimes, the greatest revenge is allowing someone to rebuild, knowing they'll spend the rest of their life aware of what they destroyed, but also given the chance to be better than they were at their worst. Megan would never have me back. She'd never have the life we could have built together. She'd never erase the pain she caused Emily. But she could be a good mother, a present mother, a mother who learned from her catastrophic mistakes. And I could be the father who put his daughter's needs above his own need for vengeance. Maybe that wasn't the ending anyone expected. Maybe it wasn't the ending I wanted when I first discovered those emails. But it was the ending we got. And somehow it felt right. Emily is 9 now. She's confident, creative, and happy. She splits her time between 2 homes that are stable and loving in different ways. She knows her parents aren't together and understands, in the way children do, that sometimes people make mistakes. Big mistakes. But she also knows she's loved. By me. By Rex, who guards her like she's the most precious thing in the world. And by her mother, who fights every day to be worthy of the second chance she was given. As for me, I started dating again. Nothing serious yet, but I'm open to the possibility. I've learned to trust again, though more carefully this time. I've learned that betrayal doesn't have to define you, that you can survive the destruction of everything you thought was solid and come out stronger. And every night, when I tuck Emily into bed and she tells me about her day, about school, about her friends, about the new drawing she's working on with her mom, I realize that this, right here, is what matters. Not revenge, not punishment, not even justice in its purest form. Just moving forward. Just being better than we were yesterday. Just loving the people who deserve it and protecting them from the people who don't. And letting go of the rest. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. The screen now displays a playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.